I didn't steal anything out of it, I guess. I don't know. I guess I should have stolen it.
You might have gotten 130. I don't know.
Whatever.
Well.
But yeah, when I stopped making money, I could not hide my disdain for the customers. I used to be able to hide it real well because I'd be like, just get through it and you get the money. But when I worked there, I knew there wasn't any money to be had.
All right.
So actually, a table sat down in front of me one time, and I literally looked directly at them and rolled my eyes, which normally I would hide that. I would look away, but I did it right in front of them. Of course, they didn't leave me a tip. I was like, who cares? I had another table complained to me about the flies because we had terrible fly problems there. Which every restaurant has flies in the summertime. I don't care where you work.
It's true. It really is true. You can refrigerate everything. It's just going to be that way.
Right. Well, this place, they weren't like super clean anyway, but they still had a fly problem. So the people are like, can we do something about the flies? And I said, no, sir. I don't know if you noticed, but the restaurant theme is actually the garbage dump. So those are actually part of the ambiance.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and I would advise you not to kill one because you might get in trouble from the manager.
Right.
So I didn't bring him a fly swatter or anything. I just said that and walked away, and that was my table too. So of course they didn't leave me a tip.
Now, this clearly means that you were calloused in the workplace. I mean, you were definitely thick-skinned at this point.
I had not made money in so long that I was like, I'm not gonna. What's the point?
Right. Now, did this at all affect your life outside of the workplace?
The fact that
I mean, did you come home and you're like?
Here's the thing about when you work a job that you don't like, and probably everybody knows how it is. Even when you have one day off, you can't enjoy it because you know you got to go back to work the next day.
All right, it's like a perpetual Sunday night before school.
Yeah, so it's like a complete wasted day because you spend the whole day worrying about what's going to happen the next day when you go to work.
Oh man.
So I was really unhappy at that time. I can't remember how many jobs I was working at that time, but only one. I only worked at one restaurant at a time when I was in Colorado, but I probably had a couple other jobs, I'm sure.
Yeah. Your first job was at 15, am I right?
Right.
Yeah.
Ice cream.
Yeah. Right. That's bonkers. Mine was probably around there, but it wasn't even a real job. These are actually real jobs in real establishments. I was like, helping the neighbors and stuff like this.
Right.
That's impressive. Did you
I have to tie my shoes, sorry.
Yeah. I know that excuse me. Whatchamacallit? I know that a lot of people in food service have very distinct after-hours habits. I speak specifically of
when they go and blow all their money at the bar after they get
I was going to say, from my own experience with alcohol and other substances, right, I was going to say, I knew a lot of kids who got involved with some rather heavy-duty substances.
Like I said, most people work in a restaurant and don't get their rent paid on time. Even though they work all the time, they still don't get their rent paid. That's not a coincidence.
And it's not because they're not making money, because,
no.
Part of my question was that, it's good money and it's fast money. Would you say this is true in food service?
It depends on what job you're working at.
Generally. I mean, you work your ass off. But if you put in the hours at a decent joint, you're going to make decent money pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would say that.
The only thing is, you're right. What happens to the rent? It doesn't get paid. And why? Crazy on
people
bar.
People are so unhappy that they go blow everything they just made plus some at the bar right after they get off work.
And I've definitely found that to be the case. I actually, when I worked, though I enjoyed that lifestyle to an extent, I actually threw a lot of my stuff behind a speaker in my room so I wouldn't see it.
I did. I never went out after I got off work. Never once.
Yeah, you had a different take on things. Yeah.
Yeah, even when I was really unhappy, when I worked at the chain restaurant, I still didn't go out.
Yeah.
I worked really hard for that $7. I'm not going to go blow it in one.
Right.
He's not trying to play with you. So yeah, that was never an issue for me, but certainly was an issue for everybody else I knew.
Oh, definitely.
I met more cokeheads at a restaurant than I've ever met in my entire life. That's where most of them work. Because it's untraceable. Cash.
Yeah, the cash is cash. And then of course, you don't get tested. I mean, you can't test your work service or your workforce over at food service.
The chain restaurant I worked at did.
Really?
They would test you when you got hurt. Because they weren't going to pay for your injury unless they knew you weren't on drugs.
That makes sense.
What would happen is people would get hurt and they wouldn't go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Even though they were really hurt.
Yeah.
One guy almost cut his finger off. He did not go to the hospital. Because he knew he would test positive and they wouldn't pay for his treatment anyway.
Whoa.
Which is terrible. But the other restaurant I worked at that was really good, the one here in Little Rock, they didn't care. They knew everyone was on drugs.
Yeah.
They would take you to the hospital and pay for it. They didn't make you take a drug test.
Yeah. That's been my experience with food service here. particularly in Arkansas. I don't think I've waited tables anywhere but Arkansas, but which is an at-will state. Important to keep in mind in all this. At-will states, of course, mean that you can, as the proprietor, you can fire people whenever you want, and as an employee, you can leave whenever you want. Right. You can just bounce, just leave. Have you ever done that by chance?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Actually, the cocktail waitress job, I had put in my notice, but then I quit the next day anyway because the manager I had to work with was such a jerk. He called me. I had worked till 3 in the morning, and someone had busted a gumball machine. It wasn't even where I was working. It was a completely different area. It wasn't my job to clean it up.
Busted a gumball machine?
Yeah. Huh. Don't ask me why a cocktail lounge has a gumball machine.
Okay.
And he called me the next morning at 7:30 and told me I needed to come up there and clean it up. I hadn't even been home since 3:30 because I'd been working so late.
Wow.
I said, it's not my job to clean that up. It's someone else's job. He's like, no, it's your job.
Yeah.
So I came up there. I cleaned it up.
You did?
I did. And while I was cleaning it, everyone came up to me and goes, that's not your job.
Oh.
That's so-and-so's job. And I was like, I thought so. So I cleaned it all up. It was all broken glass and stuff. I cleaned it up and I just walked in and I said, I'm not coming in anymore. I already put in my notice because I'm really unhappy here, but I'm definitely not coming back. He said, you better leave a note because I probably won't remember who you are. I was like, I just made the right decision.
Yeah.
Great. But at that time, I didn't have another job, I don't believe. I don't think I just quit that one. Usually I would not do that, but I was so unhappy.
Right, you usually, you plan your...
Well, I have a thing about sleeping.
Yeah.
It's crucial to me.
Yeah, she's big on sleep.
And that job did not provide me with hardly any sleep, so that's part of the reason why it didn't work out. But I also quit one of the jobs where I was a busser. I only bussed there for a couple days and I quit.
Wow.
Because they paid the bussers $6.50 with no tips. And I just couldn't get over how terrible the pay was, and the job was so hard because the bussers had to do almost all the side work.
Right, usually there's tip share. You know, you get a certain percentage of what the staff...
And the place I had worked previously was like that. They treated their bussers really well.
Huh.
But what I ended up doing was, even though I was living in Conway going to college, I would just drive back to Little Rock 30 minutes away and wait tables there because it was so much better.
Yeah, I remember doing that.
I've quit a lot of jobs. I mean, obviously I've quit every job I've had except the one I have now, but some of them I've just lost out pretty much.
Did you learn from your... Now, my own take is... you know, it's a little different here because I take my... I think a lot about people. I like people. You know, it's my thing. And this is, I think, a real... I mean, that's the thick of it. If you're waiting tables, I think that people should wait tables at least a year. At least a year.
It's a character building exercise.
I think so too. I found that not only do you learn about other people and how people in general function, not to say it's accurate per any general populace, but you do kind of get a feel for how humans function with one another in these weird kind of power struggles.
It's amazing what people do right in front of you.
Yeah. And how they, from my experience, some people really try to even not just take advantage of waiters, but almost abuse them in a public setting. Have you ever seen this happen? I'm sure you wouldn't go in for this, and nor would I, because we're pretty outspoken. But have you ever seen someone just rag on a waiter?
About what?
Just like, basically, way to go.
I don't know what that's
Represent.